You're watching Hal Sparks Mega Worldwide. Like, subscribe, give a thumbs up, support the show. I'm Hal Sparks, the greatest live stream host in the history of live stream hosts, the greatest Hal Sparks that has ever Hal Sparks. And I should probably warn the ladies that things are about to get a little steamy in here, because if you think I'm a lot to look at, wait for Pat Gray and Alex Jones together. Man, you can hear that. That sounds vaguely like someone pinching a balloon as it lets all the air out. That's the sound of vaginas drying everywhere at the image of these two men. Free speech is on the line. No, it isn't, because you still have the right to say it. You just don't have the right to make money off the torment of children and their parents. So fuck you. And also, branding is on the line, because the sale of InfoWars is not at all about his ability to speak, but his ability to just keep a brand and monetize it. That takes the free out of free speech. That's paid speech, and you can go fuck yourself. You have the right to say whatever you want. You don't have the right to anybody else's megaphone. Shut the fuck up. Here we go.
Is there any right-thinking American who believes that you can find someone 35 or 40 times what they've made in a lifetime?
Yes. You know how I know? Because they can give someone multiple life sentences for crimes they commit. It's overlapping. The crime doesn't lower to the scale of your ability to create restitution, because at some point, what if you win the fucking lottery, dum-dum? What if you work a podunk fucking job, but you're a pretty terrible person, you do some terrible shit, and they find you, you're liable for $1 million in damages, and you make $30,000 a year? That's because if you win the fucking lottery, you don't get to keep it, because you're that big a piece of shit. There is no YOLO sentencing for multiple murderers, dum-dum.
And that's okay?
Yes, it's okay. Yes, it's perfectly fine. Yes. Yeah. Yeah, he's lucky they don't have to he doesn't have to clean their toilets with his tongue the rest of their fucking life.
The Eighth Amendment to the Constitution protects citizens from excessive bail, fines, and cruel and unusual punishment. Call me crazy, but I think a fine of 35 or 40 times what a person has made in their lifetime, that seems like an excessive fine.
Well, it would, unless there was evidence that you had spent a good deal of time during the legal process hiding the money you made and pretending you weren't making it and shoveling it into other people's funds, moving your supplement business to your father, putting houses and cars and shit in your kids' and wife's names to hide what you're making. That's why. It's also to make sure you just can't have somebody buy you out of it. Somebody can't just roll in and go, I can fucking write a check for that. You'll be back on the air in a day. Because if they give you that check, it goes to them. If they give you another check, it goes to them. Again, these are people who want Hillary Clinton in a fucking gulag.
As well as cruel and unusual.
No, it's not. What his behavior was cruel, and therefore his punishment was logical in the face of his cruelty. And it's the only thing unusual about it is the shape of his head.
Violates both. He's been violated with the First and the Eighth Amendments.
No, he isn't. Nope. No one has stopped his ability to speak. No one. He's not being jailed for his speech. He can still talk. He can still say whatever the fuck he wants within the rules of free speech.
So his property was being auctioned off last week. And there's some developments that have happened since. So let's welcome Alex to the show. Alex, thanks for coming on. Welcome to The Blaze.
Hey, thanks for having me. And I've got huge updates that I'm going to break here.
Okay.
But first, let me just
remind everybody that if I'm a little late getting to your house, I am now working for Uber Eats. and I apologize for eating all the carbs.
Be 100% clear. And I don't blame you and others for not knowing exactly what happened, because I didn't figure it out until the second show trial in Connecticut 2 years ago, right at this time, but almost exactly 2 years ago at this time. They had one in Austin, Texas, in a controlled Democrat judge's jurisdiction, and then one up in Connecticut. I mean, how do you get a fair trial right where it happened?
Gee, here's how. I don't know. Don't let it happen in the first fucking place. You know what I mean? Like, again, I've always thought the whole, like, moving a like something out of a jurisdiction in terms of a criminal trial, if you want to make sure that the person is being judged on the evidence, not just on the public wanting somebody strung up for a crime, right? But I also think most modern juries especially don't want somebody who isn't guilty to take the fall, and then you just have a murderer running around, right? So I don't think that's as big a deal as it used to be when they used to just build a gallows or put a fucking carrot on a woman's face and call her a witch.
So here's what I want people to know. 12 years ago, coming up on the 12th anniversary, 12 years ago, right around this time of the year, Adam Lanza gets a gun that his mother legally bought, a Remington Bushmaster. He takes it illegally and kills all those kids.
Right.
Now, the internet doesn't believe it. The internet, hundreds of millions of views on YouTube.
Yeah, it's not. Look, all I was doing was reporting. I was being a surrogate disbeliever.
YouTube, just a one video that another person made. I barely cover it.
Bullshit.
The first year or so.
You're not going to re-adjudicate this. We all saw it. Your fucking attorney accidentally gave the plaintiff's attorney a copy of your entire phone. We know what you really knew. We know what you really thought. Don't just go find a dumb crowd that doesn't know the details and then try to dig yourself out. This is exactly what this is. And this is like, he goes to these areas where they know tangentially the story and then tries to paint himself as the fucking victim because he figures they haven't heard all the gory details. And by the time they do, they'll have this thing against the source of where they're getting any other information that they'll just take his fucking word for it and immediately assume that it's liberal bias that, instead of just reality.
Okay, yeah, it happened. I cover the controversy, and then I don't cover it for years after years after years. Then Hillary decides to run against Trump and buys $24 million, according to her filings, of Sandy Hook ads with a short clip of me saying, yeah, totally fake. Okay. Mm-hmm.
Then you go back to defending that very idea.
Then I get deplatformed everywhere for other stuff the media made up, but not for that. And then in 2000...
Why don't you tell them what it was then? What'd you get deplatformed for? If it wasn't that, what was it? So you're a repeat offender is what we need to know. Okay, let's go.
2018, they sue me and then say I didn't give discovery, so they default me and find me guilty. So the judges then have trials on damages, but pretend like they're actually real trials and let them put on fake evidence, but I'm unable to defend myself. So that
bullshit. He had every opportunity to defend himself. He literally spoke on the stand. He tried to weasel out of it by apologizing to them on the stand after everything they went through, just when he thought it was clear he was going to lose.
It's all on record. That's what happened. Then they asked for $2.76 trillion. I know that doesn't sound true. Just type in Alex Jones.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about the $2.76 trillion. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. See, people don't believe me. I wouldn't believe me either.
No, it's true. We've looked into that. It is absolutely true.
So yeah, Bloomberg, AP, you name it.
Yep.
Type in Alex Jones, $2.76 trillion. That's the GDP of India. So then,
so you didn't have the GDP of India on hand?
No, I'm not Glenn Beck. Glenn Beck did his research when I was on last week, and he said, because it's actually ended up in the bankruptcy came out, that I made about $55 million in the last 30 years on air that I kept.
Bullshit. Listen to that, by the way. That I kept.
Now that I made about $55 million in the last 30 years on air that I kept. So,
well, I think that's
on air that I kept, which means he puts everything he owns, his houses, his cars, his vacation properties, his overseas properties, like the gold bullion, whatever it is, in his business's name. And then he started shuffling it to his family because that's what they went after. They went after the business.
I think that's about what you told us when we talked to you a few months ago. Was it in your lifetime you've made 50 or 55 million, right?
Yeah. And again, I was audited on my own expense to the tune of $3 million by the federal judge when they made all the accusations when I went bankrupt 2 years ago. They said, Your Honor, he's hiding $360 million. They just pulled out of the air. He said, fine, I'll instruct Free Speech Systems to have outside accounting firms. They had 3 different ones come in over the last years, and the judge said in court on June 14th when he fired the federal guy over my case, he said, no, Mr. Jones told the truth. None of what you guys said was true, and then he fired the U.S. trustee and the rest of them. So then I was in personal bankruptcy over my company. The judge said, but you can order a liquidation. Then they said in the liquidation.
Yeah, again. The idea is that, like, he had shuffled this stuff around, and at that point he had moved it into the entire supplement business into his father's name, and they can't touch that because it's a totally different person who wasn't involved in the action, and that's how he got around it. Fuck you. Again, he's playing to the fact that these assholes don't know the details, and he's hoping for a new, ignorant, sympathetic ear.
The lawyers on the other side wanted my name, my likeness. The judge in a hearing a month ago said they couldn't have it. He said he wanted hearings about that.
Yeah, I got to be honest. Nobody wants your likeness. They might take your name so you can't use it. I mean, it happened to Prince. It can happen to you. But no one wants your likeness, honestly. I think, in all honesty, I would be for some sort of Muhammad-like rule about no one being allowed to even draw you.
For liquidation. So the U.S. trustee assigned by the Justice Department, because the Justice Department can come into rare cases because, quote, public interest, saying I was a crook, went ahead and had the auction last Wednesday. But 2 days before, on Monday, the 11th, he changes the rules and says no longer will be a public auction with a big online respected auction firm. He said by Wednesday morning at 10 a.m., I will take sealed bids from bidders, and I will choose the winner, and I choose to take one that's lower if I want. Those are the new rules. He said he had the right under the judge's order, which the judge said in an emergency hearing last Thursday that Elon Musk lawyers, by the way, came into. The judge said, I did not authorize this. This was not an auction. Everyone should be very uncomfortable about this so-called auction. And he ordered an evidentiary hearing that he hasn't set yet. So here's the update. There was.
So I still have a chance to get the desk, is what you're telling me.
No auction. By the way, without a judge's order certifying the sale, any of it, they came in, the U.S. trustee on Thursday morning, threw us out of the building, literally cut the power to the studios, cut the refeeds off, so literally commandeered, or in my opinion, hijacked the building. So that's
adorable.
Huge issue that happened. And then they announced everywhere that they owned it and it was theirs. Then he had to release the, quote, bidding information to the other, quote, bidders. They got the information Thursday night, and here's the breaking news. And then this will all be in the news by this afternoon. I'll just stop right there, and it'll all be with exhibits. Everybody will be able to see it. I'm just stop there. But
yeah, not so much, but whatever.
Not to say anymore.
Get on with it.
They are crazy enough, the plaintiffs, to add an addendum document to their sealed bid in an auction that didn't happen. That was a private sale disguised as a bid, detailing how they directed the U.S. trustee and how they control the process and how they came to the directive that they were in control of the process.
Okay, fuck what? Look, the judge made a rule that your friends couldn't bail you out and just buy it and hand the keys back to you because that would go against the general order and the fine you would receive. So, of course, they can keep people from buying it for you and then giving it back. Of course, they have the right to do that. Of course, in the discretion of the judge, he can do that. This is just gibberish. If they didn't, nobody would ever be able to win a piece of property from a rich person ever. They would just be a tacit, a way of paying almost like a blackmail or some sort of leveraged money to stop people from bothering you. All right, I sell my boat. Yeah, the money goes to the boat, but I get to keep my boat. My friend gives me the money for the boat, and then I write off a loan on my taxes. That's what he's talking about. He wants Roger Stone to be able to roll in, buy it, give it back to him, and then write it off as a loan. That's why Elon Musk's lawyers came in. They were going to provide the money. No. That goes against the heart of the ruling in the first place.
And how they directed the so-called auction. Now, in the rules of federal bankruptcy auctions, let's just say this. It was perfectly, to the letter, violated at every level. I mean, if this was golf, this would be a hole-in-one, but a negative hole-in-one.
Great analogy. Excellent. Excellent. You can tell this man is someone who speaks on camera for a living. Fuck me.
Absolute, total perfection of corruption.
It's like the opposite of a hole-in-one. You mean like the rest of golf where it doesn't happen?
My lawyers never say
What do you mean, like basketball?
things are a slam dunk. They never say things are cut and dry.
All right, you just said slam dunk, and that is not how you get a hole-in-one. I'm just saying. A slam dunk does not count as a hole-in-one. All baskets that are counted as points in basketball are holes in one form or another. Just saying.
And they're very respected bankruptcy lawyers. They say they've never even heard of anything like this. The whole thing is...
Yeah, but most people aren't sued for their worth and for their company because they tormented the parents of dead children. There's a bunch of new parts
so
to this.
Comical. So that's why when the so-called Onion owner went on Good Morning America with Stephanopoulos Friday, and Stephanopoulos said, I heard you didn't have the biggest bid. He goes, well, we had the best bid. And that's what the U.S. trustee, Chris Murray of Houston, you can look it up, it's all over the news. I mean, Chris Murray, Alex Jones, you'll see him say, well, it wasn't the biggest bid, but it was the best bid. So 2 days before, they change it, make it secret, no longer.
Yeah, nope, still fine. Like, again, not a thing. Fuck you. Sorry. You don't get to just have your rich friends bail you out and give it back. There is a difference. They weren't just going for the highest dollar amount because one of the reasons why the dollar amount they were asking was so fucking high was because they couldn't throw you in fucking jail. So the idea that the number would be low enough where whatever you can get for your business and then somebody else can buy it for you and give it back, and you could fucking, I don't know, find ways to chase down the number you could sell it at. And again, if you have Elon Musk's sort of endless funds and he just decides, I'll just fold InfoWars into X. Right? That sound like a plan? That sounds like something he would do, which is counterproductive to the ruling that went to the families in the first place, because it was never about money. It was about the torment these people experienced because of him and his fucking followers. Let me tell you something. Pat Gray was saying, how can you fine someone 30 to 50 times more than they will make in their lives? I don't know. How does anyone codify the feeling that someone sent their followers to piss on the grave of your toddler who you had to have a closed casket for? Codify that for me, Pat. How much pain can a person take? How much pain does a person deserve, an innocent person deserve in their life? That every dollar they make for the rest of their life, that father, that mother, that brother, that sister, with that memory that every day just fucking hurts. How do you codify that? How do you balance that? Where's the justice? Right? You can't. But you can make damn well sure that this guy can't hurt somebody else. Fuck Alex Jones. He's a punk. And fuck Pat Gray and his gross, withering ass. And every derelict shithead that works on his farty little show in the Blaze's basement. Because they do not have the guts to bring up the victims in this situation. which were the parents of the Sandy Hook kids. That's it. There is no way you can measure the horribleness of what those parents went through. And this asshole, for money and lulz, decided to dunk on them and torment them and call out some of these parents as fakers and liars, saying their children never existed in the first fucking place. So no, there is no dollar amount too high. There is no situation where a version of InfoWars surviving that he can use, it will be sufficient. And by the way, that little exchange between Alex Jones and Pat Gray is how you know that every single stitch of alleged Christianity felt by Glenn Beck is fake. He is false. He is a liar. He does not believe what he says he believes. He is selling it to other people so he can sell something else alongside of it. Jesus is a coupon to Glenn Beck. A belief in God or a biblical nature is a coupon. It is, if you have that, then you can buy my stuff at a slight discount. I give so many fucking people leeway in their belief systems, but there are lines that you cross them that I know that you're beyond a hypocrite. You are a con artist. Hypocrisy is something almost everybody can be guilty of. You can accidentally be a hypocrite. You could just be weak and be a hypocrite. Glenn Beck is not a hypocrite. Glenn Beck is a con man. He's a flim-flam artist. He's playing 3-card Monty with the Trinity. Ugh. So nasty.